Hey you guys, this is a landscape designer's backyard garden tour.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell.
So hey you guys, welcome back. We are back in my backyard garden and it is summer. It is flushing with so much new foliage. I cannot wait to share with you guys just kind of how everything is kind of unfolding and growing in and thickening up. And if I know I did a garden tour about 2 years ago, and you're going to see a lot of the things that have grown and matured, and then you're going to see a lot of new things because, as you know, I bring in tons of new material. Every time there's a new species, there's one I'm really excited to share with you because in particular it's just kind of one of my favorites that's coming up this season. So we'll kind of just walk and talk plants and trees. If you are thinking about doing a backyard tropical buffer, or you like that kind of heavy layered look, then stick around because my backyard is jam-packed full of my favorites, my absolute favorites in the garden. These are tough, tried and true material. I'm going to skip over some new material that I put in the ground because I don't know enough about it until it has the seal of approval. Then maybe in the next garden tour I'll mention it. But overall, I'm going to mention the things that are just a Florida favorite. So hopefully you get some inspiration, you get some excitement, and this gets you out in your garden. For those of you guys who need more than inspiration, then check us out online. I'll put all of our website and contact information down below. Check out the How It Works page. We are a landscape design and installation company. We have our own in-house installation team that we work with every single day, and we transform backyards, front yards, side yards. That's kind of what we do. So we'd be very happy to meet with you, see what we can do in your yard. I'll get Bryce to slide in the locations that we work in Florida, and then yeah, give us a call. I'd love to talk to you. So yes, I will start the tour. Let's move to the corner of the buffer here. So you guys might remember this. This is the edge of my backyard. This is a very flat buffer. I tried to make it as interesting as possible, but that's the way my yard works. It's pretty narrow. So this is the end of it. My neighbor's yard is right over there. And they've kept theirs natural, you know, plenty of grass, plenty of open space. I guess they could play games out there. I can not play any games, but maybe cornhole in mine. But I just appreciate more of this nestled kind of tropical view. I kind of want to almost feel like I'm not in a subdivision, you know, kind of like I'm in my own little retreat. So that's always been my goal for my backyard. I have plenty of seating sections out here. We enjoy this time together out in the back, and I like this vibe. So if this is your vibe, you're in for a good video. So I will start over this way. This is my collusia. This is my hedge. This is my barrier. This is my wall that's going to be here. I love the way that it goes up on an incline like this. It's fantastic for drainage because all of my tropicals need a good deal of water. Everything gets watered about 3 times a week. But my collusia, of course, does not like water that much. So the fact that it's on the incline really helps to keep it nice and healthy and happy and drained. So that's the backdrop. I don't know if you can catch this, Bryce, from the angle or not, but if you guys remember that traveler's palm, that was the final tier in the back along this berm. It has grown in so beautifully from the deck. It is such a gorgeous feature. I love that fan. I love that look. I trim that guy maybe twice a year, you know, just when you get an edged frond or, you know, that needs to come off. But overall, it's just a fast growing paddle fan. I know it's probably hard to tell because my palms are kind of cascading over top of it. But you guys, if you don't, if you want something tropical, I know it's not technically a palm tree. It's in the banana family, but it's definitely a tropical paddled leaf look to me. So, and I love that structure on it. So it is the final backdrop there, along with the collusia. And then these are Brazilian red cloaks. I know they're in camouflage. You get to see these big giant leaves, but you don't see any blooms yet. We've got some coming, but they couldn't make it for the video, so that's kind of tough. But aren't they absolutely stunning? I just absolutely love them. They're really going to town, really doing well. And look at just the size of this leaf. So even though there's no color on it, gosh, this just leaf envelops that gorgeous size, or gorgeous look. I mean, I've got some gold dust crotons right along the front here. And then, of course, anytime I do yellow, I tend to do a little bit of clustering of the ruby reds. I love these little ruby reds. I think they just kind of give a nice little finial at the base. I've got a struggling double bottle palm. This guy's been transplanted a couple times and he's not very happy with me. We're not really on talking terms, but I'm really hoping that he's going to kind of cascade and kind of bridge this gap. I can't plant anything in this this easement area because this is where the drainage goes. So the next best thing is kind of taking your two corners and kind of letting them go over top of it. So that's why I had this kind of on a slant, and then right behind it I put two plumeria trees, and I'm hoping that they're reaching for the sun so they'll come together, these little frangipanges here. So I've got one here and one on this side, and I'm hoping they bridge the gap like this. And then their colors, this one is white and this one is pink, and I'm hoping they come together and really give me kind of almost like an arch of just beautiful branching color, and just I think they're going to be cool. And then right to the front of them, because I love putting palms in the way of everything, this bottle palm is going to kind of do cascade the same way. So it's going to be super cool. For those of you who do not remember this big rock path in this space, that is because it was not here. I think I mentioned before in the previous video how much I hate the grass in my yard. I can manage to make everything grow, but a blade of grass. It was always mucky and wet and just did not pan out well here. So no matter what we did, we resodded so many times. So I finally just got tired of it. I put in the Tahitian gray granite because so easy to walk on. I mean, this is the best rock. It knits together real well, stays put, can handle. We get tons of runoff rain right here, which is why the grass wouldn't work. And the Tahitian gray granite has, sorry guys, technical difficulties. Our camera overheated again. I feel like I should have an overheat button myself. It's like incredibly hot here. That's the benefit of the Florida sun. Benefit negative, I don't know which one it is, but either way, the plants love it. So let's get back to the tour now that we're here. So I was talking about the Tahitian gray granite. I have a nice path. I'll get Bryce to kind of do a swath, like a kind of a little swoosh of this area when he gets a second. That way you guys can kind of see it. I absolutely love it. I like I said, I cannot work with grass in this area because of the slope, because of the moisture, but I do love the birds. We get a lot of bird traffic, as you can probably imagine, from all of the trees, and they kind of hammock and roost in this area. So I thought if I made this rock and I put a nice barrier underneath this rock, then I can do as many bird houses and as bird feeders as I absolutely want to. So I've got one hanging here, and it might probably, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I've got one hanging here kind of off of my post. I'm going to do another one probably on that post, and then I'm going to do a couple that are sitting out here so that I can just kind of feed the birds / the squirrels, and you know, kind of let this whole area be a feeding area, because I sit and spend so much time up there between coffee and wine and entertaining and enjoying this space, that I really do like the idea of having kind of having a little feeding zone here. Since I don't have to worry about the grass and the weeds from the seeds coming up in the grass, now I kind of can have this whole area to myself to kind of feed the birds. So that's kind of a bonus, you know, lemons, lemonade, that kind of thing. Okay, so back to the tour. So I know we talked about the Brazilian red cloaks, the gold dust. I did forget about the one bacoda that I have here. It has one orange flower. How I forgot about the only thing in there blooming. But yeah, it's got the orange flower there. And I only put one in because it has a habit of really spreading into whatever areas it wants to go. So it's going to I'm going to kind of keep it that orange in the midst of all the pink blooms. So I think it's going to do really, really well there. We've got a coconut palm in that back right to the right of the traveler's palm that's really, really going to town. Really got some size on it. The trunk is enormous. It's absolutely stunning. And this area that was originally a full sun environment, you can really see what canopy palms do for a space as far as really helping to soften those areas between this palm grouping of the Eurekas and the travelers, and this whole area right here is really doing a nice job of becoming a filtered shade garden. So it's allowing these plants to really have some protection from the harshness of the sun, where normally this is right on the edge of my property and it got the most sun that all of the garden got. It really, really did have pretty heavy rays here. So those of you guys who have put comments in previous videos that said, you know, I love your plants, I love the tropical foliage, but those can't handle that full direct west or heat of the day kind of sun. Absolutely they can't, but carve out a little nook. If you really do like those plants, carve out a little nook, put some canopy trees in those areas, whether it's something like a queen crepe myrtle that keeps its leaves, or grouping of palm trees, some Christmas palms, anything that kind of gives you an overshadow, and then tuck those really cool tropicals that you want into that garden, and then put the sun plants, the sun loving plants right along the edge, and you get the benefits of both worlds. And you're going to see that in my garden in just a moment. You're going to see where you can see that sun just right along the tip, right along the edge or the border of the buffer. And then as you get into the buffer more, oh my gosh, that's when you get those big leafed alocasias and all that tropical foliage and some interesting crotons and some things like that. So you can really have the best of both worlds. You kind of need to create an environment for it. So here we have a ginormous areca palm. Those of you guys who may have seen the video a couple years ago saw this, and it was, you know, it was here, but it was probably like 10 feet shorter. It's amazing how fast it's grown and what it's done. I absolutely love this clump. Now, this is one palm by itself, and it's just clumped out to kind of, you know, maximize the size that we wanted it to be. We're not, you know, it would continue to clump, but about every couple years we take a limb or two out to kind of keep it contained. Believe it or not, this is contained, but I absolutely love it. And it offers me an environment to change what I have underneath of it. If I did not have those, there's no way this Queen Emma would be this happy. This Queen Emma really absolutely loves this spot. So, and it's really due to its supporting neighbor here, the areca palm. The areca palm is doing its job by really protecting it from the harshest rays of the day. So, down below are Sanchesia. Sanchesia, I probably can't say enough about Sanchesia. It is my go-to plant. It's the plant I use in so many of my designs. And it's mainly because I love the skeletal pattern on this leaf. It's these are kind of matured, so it's a nice sized leaf, about the size of my hand here. But I love the different variations. You know, look at how bright this one is because it's a little bit less sun. Look how this one is in more sun and it has more of a yellow tone. But just look at these two colors here. One that's inside, one that's outside. So they kind of give off a fabulous look. Those that are tucked back in there for protection have more of that white and green. These have yellow and green. So no matter what you have with those, you always get that beautiful detailed line. I just love that look. And if you're looking for a skirt planting, Sanchesia is the go-to plant for that. Look at I don't like the Queen Emma underneath. The Sanchesia, put them to the front, and then you only see this just fantastic fountain spray of these beautiful leaves, but you don't see that ugly trunk that the Queen Emma has. No offense, lady. But these do a great job of kind of giving me a blockage. And also they brighten up that dark tone in the color. So I'm just going to touch on some of the plants around the water feature because, you know, there's a lot going on in here. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm a little extra when it comes to my tropicals. I absolutely love just to try a mass grouping of them. I just love, you know, I just love having them. So I'm always picking up little things here and there. The backdrop to me is the most important because if you're going to do anything, you could always add in a little color. You can always add in small things as you go. But to me, the backdrop of whatever your focal point, that's the most important part. So having the Kateria palms, aka cat palms, as my backdrop is key. That area gets filtered light, doesn't get tons and tons of sun. Those coconut palms do the trick for really helping protect them from the harshest rays. They only love morning sun to maybe early afternoon sun. After that, they do not like that kind of heavy attention, those kind of heavy rays. So you want to keep them in this type of environment, and they'll do very, very well without a lot of browning. So they're nice and green. They get 9 foot tall. That's their overall height. These guys have been this size for ever. You know, they've just really matured out and grown in, and I love their connective nature. To me, they're almost like a connective hedge palm grouping. You know, they kind of become a fantastic barrier. You probably cannot tell from here because I cannot see it at all, but there is a giant pull screen to the back. Those of you guys that are just like me, that are in a community, that don't want to be in a community where you're just kind of framed around with houses all the way around you, this is a perfect screening plant. I use these and coleusias like nobody's business just because I just want that dialed back. I love my neighbors. My neighbors are awesome, but I enjoy my private space, and that's the reason for those. So if that's you, check out cat palms. They're a great, great alternative to a hedge. So down below, I have some Chinese evergreens. You'll see there's a variegated leaf there. Those are called the Silver Falls. I've got some sloppy painters spotted in there. Sloppy painters grow notoriously slow. So if you like that, they are a croton, but they are something that can handle pretty much good shade. So you can see tucked into that spot, only along the edges they get sun. Everything else, that yellow and green leaf, Bryce, along the edge they get sun, but the rest of it in the back literally gets no sun. So it's amazing that something can have a little bit of brightness of color without pulling out any energy from that direct sunlight. So pretty cool. I've got some giant leopard's ear, that big lily pad leaf that's there. Those are fabulous. You can literally just fill all the way around this waterfall with those, and I probably would have had I discovered them years ago when I put in the water feature. Those are so beautiful. So Alice in Wonderland. I love that big giant rounded leaf. I just think they're so fabulous. So those are a go-to for me. Again, I like to highlight areas with stone, and that's what this is. I have a little step down from my patio here. It has a darker gray stone, again, it's a round stone because I love this type of stone, but, and then I have it outlined with white stone, and then I ended up coming back with the Tahitian gray granite in the walking path. So it's kind of a nice mix of different variations of stone that's efficient for my area, and it all frames the water feature. Right here is one of my favorite palms that I have in the garden. This is a triple spindle palm. Oh my gosh, she is just absolutely stunning. She really arches out over top of the walkway, over top of the little bit of grass that we have, and she is absolutely stunning with her triple trunked features. She's stretching out, so those of you guys who worry, gosh, is this too much shade for this particular tree? If you don't mind the limbs stretching out to find the sun, then absolutely not. They do a fantastic job of working it out for themselves, and I love that she's really branching out, because normally these limbs are more compact, more upright, and you'll notice in a sunny environment, that's exactly what they do. They're more like this, straight up, and they have a little bit of a tilt. But in this environment, they're looking for the sun, so they're really branching out, which to me is just more of a soft, more of a leafy kind of feel, which I'm all about the jungle vibes, so I think that that's cool. Grown very slow, but done very, very well. So we have a happy pairing here. This is a bird's nest fern as the centerpiece grouping here, and they are loving this environment. I mean, it has become huge. It's been in the ground about 3 years, and very, very, very happy. What's great about this particular plant is it does grow very, very well in moist conditions and shady conditions, but it also, if I were to dig this up and put this on my coconut palm and tie it up around there, it would absolutely take hold along the coconut palm and grow there too. So this can actually, if you have an old ugly palm tree that you need to cover up the trunk but you love the canopy, you can take multiple of these and run them up the palm tree bark, and then you have all this cool leaf coverage on that. I'll see if I can get Bryce to post in a picture of what that looks like, but it's a very, very cool way to decorate a base of a palm tree. Now, it does need filtered light, so as long as it has that, but other than that, they do fantastic. Intermingled with this is what I meant about the pairing. This is a Rojo Congo, and as a landscape designer, I should know better than to plant things so close together, but it's a lesson that I've never learned. Sometimes it's been a hard lesson, but in my own garden, I love to compile plant groupings together, and that's exactly what happened here. So they're sharing their same space, and I love the way it looks from, the seating section, so I let it be. I feel like if they're happy, I'm happy. Another one who is outgrowing its space, but again, because it's so beautiful, I'm giving it full approval to live in this spot. This is a dwarf, and I said yes, dwarf alocasia, believe it or not. This is absolutely a beautiful green alocasia, and it is going to max out at 4 foot tall. Yes, that's what Google says, 4 foot tall. I think that Google might mistaken how much these guys have a need to live. This guy's been in this ground for about 5 years, and yes, he's probably about tipping at 5 foot now. So very, very happy, loves the spot. They do need filtered light, so they're protected between this spindle palm and this bottle palm and those palms in the back. This is getting very little light. It's just getting a touch of sunlight. And you can see the way it's growing, it's trying to get more. So it's growing forward, trying to reach a little bit of that sun for these big giant leaves. But overall, it's doing very well. Down below, I have another bird's nest fern here. And then, just because I liked group plantings and I don't like to see bare dirt, I have another Chinese evergreen, Aglaonema. And I love those plants. I love their leaf color. I love their tropics, and I love their durability. That plant, you can almost do anything to it other than put it in the full sun. You can put it in full shade. You can put it in filtered light. You can water it too much, underwater it. So far, it does not complain. It's just the best plant ever. So Aglaonema are not just for indoors. They are for an outdoor tropical garden. Cluster them together in a nice solid grouping. You will not be sorry. They are so, so cool and so, so tough. So yeah, check them out. Another plant that will grow right up a tree if you let it is congos, rojo congos, or green congos. These guys will grow right up along this bottle palm. It's making its way slowly up that way, probably because it's getting crowded out by the giant leopard's ear. Again, I'm planting things the way I like to see them, which is really grouped together. Now, I would be more aware of this in somebody else's garden who does maintenance possibly a little bit different, or maybe want more of a streamlined tropical look, which I do those too. But in my particular garden, I love the jungle forest. I love that rainforest kind of vibe. So I like that things trickle down where I've got height, and I've got intermediate, and I've got lower, and then I've got ground cover. I'm just not a fan of mulch, so I like to see that versus that. So I do outline. I do like a crisp edge. So I outline it either with what you saw over there with the rock with the aluminum alloy edging, or the Buda edging. Buda edging is my absolute favorite because I like that. I like the curves, and I like how easy it is to manipulate around the beds. If I want to change the bed style, I pop it up. Super easy with one hand, and I can alter it, curve it, and move it, and then stake it right back into the ground, and it holds. And unlike the aluminum edging, if a mower hits it with a tire, if a weed whacker hits it, it's not going anywhere. It's durable. You can literally run over top of it with a truck, and it stays put. So even though it's pliable and flexible, it is definitely durable. So I love working with it. Okay, so off to the new things. So I had some quarter lines in this grouping, and I decided to try something different. I picked up some dwarf alocasias because my alocasias seem to really love it in the garden. I picked up some variegated dwarf alocasias. So hopefully these will stay around 4 foot tall. But these are new to the garden, so they're not filled out. They're not full yet. I thought about waiting to do this video until that happens, but you know, you got to do a video when your camera guy is here, and so I thought I thought I would wait for Bryce, because he always knows the right angles to get for you guys. So I wanted to make sure that that we got our backyard tour with the best camera guy that I got to work with, the only camera guy I have to work with. So dwarf alocasias, variegated in color. I love the white and the green. This is a dark spot in my garden, so I could have put regular alocasias, could have put regular rojo congos, or the giant leopard's ear. Absolutely would all be happy in that environment, but what I wanted was a spot of color. I wanted something with a shot of brightness, almost like a flashlight in the garden, and they do that. They really give you that, oh, what's back there, you know? So when they grow in, I'll see if I can post some pictures on Instagram or coming up in one of the next tours, but I am really hoping they fill that whole space up with this giant kind of look like you see here, but with white and green leaves. Oh my God, I will be in love if that happens. So yeah, that's gonna be super, super cool. Down below are burley marks, and you guys know I love those because those stay around 2.5 foot tall, and they don't take up much space. You can literally draw with them. You can put one in like an S factor, or multiple ones in like an S factor, and draw and curve your beds and outline them with those burley marks, and they stay put. And it's not something you have to trim like a hedge. It's a tropical hedge, really. So, I have a very new Obi Island palm here. It's got just a couple leaves on it. It's really starting to pop out. I really love it on my side yard, so I wanted to try a young one in my backyard, and I thought between the two bottle palms it would be an ideal spot to be. So I think it's doing well. It's young. It's going to be gorgeous here. Another aglaonema. This guy was the very first one that I worked with. He was the very first one that I tried since I wasn't quite sure about those outdoors. It was actually indoors at my house, and I wanted to see how it would work outside, and I put it in the first spot that I could think of, and it's absolutely done super, super well, grown incredibly slow. So if you really need something that's not going to overgrow a spot, aglaonema Silver Falls, one of the best aglaonemas. They're just tough. Some petricrotons down below. They're very, very happy. They're young. I just dialed those in because, you know, we have a lot of green, a lot of white, and a lot of green. So I needed something with more variation, more color, more orange back here. So that's exactly what those are doing. Again, Sanchesia. For that same reason, I want a skirt planting here about 3.5 foot tall. I need it to be dense, I need it to be thick, I need it to grow profusely, and that's exactly what these guys do. So if you need a skirt, they're a fantastic skirt if you have filtered light. Now they do like a little bit more water than any kind of drought tolerant plant, so they're gonna pair really nicely with giant leopard's ear, elephant ears, copper leaves, those kind of things. Fantastic plant grouping for Sanchesia because they all like the same amount of water. You do not want to put them right next to a anything that's drought tolerant, a bougainvillea, or anything along the lines of that really needs that sandy soil. So I love what these do, and I think they're gonna really be happy here long term. I think they've been in the ground about 4 years. This is a second bottle palm. Now this bottle palm, just like the one that I was just under a moment ago, was straight up, was going through the middle of these trees, but just like it would in any rainforest, just like it would in any kind of natural environment, it's going to reach for the sun. So it knows that it can't go straight through the areca, the coconut, the two triangle palms, it's pretty much flanked out with all the trees in the middle. So she's so smart, which leads me to believe that she's probably female. She's actually reaching this way in the garden. She's really trying to find the sun and knows that she cannot find it through the middle of that canopy. And so I'm getting a little bit of a curve to both of them reaching for the sun going this way, which to me is absolutely just magical because this little walkway is kind of like a small little, little runway here. So the fact that you can walk underneath of this and you're kind of got canopy trees all over you, I just think is awesome. I just think it's just so magical. Maybe one day my son will get married in the backyard. Who knows? And, nice little walking path. That would be so cool. I don't know, you guys comment. Maybe we could talk him into it. Anyway, so this is a great example of a plant trying to get high. So this plant, not in the wrong way, this plant is really trying to get above and out of this plant grouping right here. This is just like the bird's nest ferns. It's going to live perfectly well on a tree. So if you've got a tree that you just don't love the trunk of, and honestly a lot of these trees are not that beautiful at the trunk base, it's the canopies that are gorgeous. The Rojo Congos, plant them all around the base. They will attach with their roots and pretty much mount themselves right around the base and work their way up. I just think that this is such a live element. Everything in the garden has its own ecosystem, and I absolutely love that it's unfolding and doing things that I didn't even know that it could do when I first planted it all those years ago. So yeah, so it's very cool. Some aglaonemas. I'm looking to see what I've got different in here. I definitely have some ice tone crotons and a little dash. You might be able to get in here. I've got these on my side yard and love them. These are called the Hope ficus, And look at that variegated leaf. I love this little heart-shaped leaf. Look at that. I just think that's so cool. And it's supposed to be a shade plant, but I do have it on the side yard. It gets quite a bit more sun, and they're very, very happy there too. So it was a trial. It was one that I put in last year, and I wanted to see, well, maybe been a little over a year. Either way, it's not been in the ground a very long time, but it is happy. It's establishing, grows very slow. So if you're looking for something that has a bright pop of variegated color, but you don't want to be out in the garden trimming it every other month, that's one. I probably trim it twice a year, and that's about it. It's another rubicola, Pringles palm. This guy is growing like crazy, super happy. He is so protected between the Chinese fan palm and all the backdrop palms here that I really don't have to worry about protecting him from the sun at all. He's very, very happy, and I love all those windmill kind of fronds to it. I just think it's just so gorgeous, so petite. Now they do have a small trunk, but that trunk is just really, really narrow compared to this big fan canopy base. So I think that's what makes them so interesting. I love this big frond leaf. And then below those, Bryce, I have bird's nest ferns, and I just have a collection of those underneath. And this is kind of what I was meaning about the burley marks. These burley marks are just kind of, you can just kind of just draw with them. So if you need a little bit of coverage at the bottom, burley marks are fantastic for that. 2.5 foot. It's so dense you can't see through it, so whatever is behind them that's 2.5 foot that you need to hide, they'll do the trick as long as it's partial sun. Now this little edge right here gets a good amount of early morning, midday sun. You wouldn't know it right now because the sun's gone away, but I'm hoping it's coming across on camera. This is this little edge gets a great amount of sun while everything on the inside gets very, very little. So that's kind of what I mean about how your palm trees can completely change your climate of your landscape. You know, you can, if you love shade material, stick some palm trees around it, let them those canopies open up and grow. Voila, you now have a shade pocket that you can put all of your shade-loving plants, and then right to the front of them, put plants in that can handle a little bit more sun that are going to be right on that edge. So you get the benefits of both worlds in an area of your yard that you may have not realized you could. So Sanchesia, Rojo Congos, and I have the Lady Claire Crotons. Now these guys, I have a love-hate relationship with them. They're very, very happy in the rainy season, not so happy at all in the cooler season. They really drop their leaves. They're not as lush and as pretty, but because of this variegation in leaf, and you guys probably have nailed it by now, where you know that's kind of my thing. I love that bright and dark coloration, and these guys do that. So I let them be. This is a blue ginger. I'm going to show it to you because it has a little bloom. Well, little bloom. It has a little bloom. It's kind of really struggled right here, so I'm going to see how it's going to do this year, but it's been in the ground 1 year, and look how cool that bloom is on it. It's a really cool, kind of a spindly leaf, but it really likes the shade, and it's doing fairly well there, but I can't say that it's exactly as I had hoped. I'd hoped to have a pop of purple there, and get a mini pop. So, and right and kind of tucked in this little area is a Carpoxylon palm. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I never get that right. I don't know why that tree of all of the trees are so hard for me to remember. Probably because I don't use it very often. It's kind of a finicky palm. If you guys have a little bit of patience, pick them up young, put them exactly where you want to, and let them really grow. They do take a good deal of time. And they're magnificent when they get big, but from this point to a bigger tree, it takes years. So if you have patience and you love that palm, definitely pick it up because it's well worth it. It's just not as much of a showpiece when I bring it in initially because it's big budget for a small tree and it takes a while. So I try to give my clients a bigger bang for the buck right off the bat. So, but it's kind of, I'll leave it up to you guys. I'll show you one that is more matured that is absolutely stunning. Bryce, if you take a look right behind the gardenia tree, right behind where that hanging mermaid figurine is or statue is, you'll really get a chance to see that's what one looks like when it has some decent size to it. It's got a beautiful green trunk. It's got a bulbous base, absolutely stunning, right above the roof line there. And I love that crown shaft. I love the way those fronds just kind of pop up directly and then curl right at the edges. No thorns. It is self-cleaning, but it does take a while for those limbs to drop, so I tend to always nip them before they drop. But yeah, so pros and cons of that tree. Awesome tree if you have patience. I've got a lobster claw heliconia. You can kind of see a little bit of the bloom that's right there. And then I've got a hurricane palm. Okay, so the method to my madness, you guys have probably seen this. I mean, I know you've seen this because I was on the other side. So at the end of all of my buffers, I love the idea of ending a buffer, but since you can't plant right in this middle because this is a drainage easement and you're not supposed to, I kind of plant right along that edge and let my palm trees overshadow me like I'm getting a picture in a wedding somewhere, you know, like I'm on vacation, maybe on a resort. I love the idea of always ending with these big arching branches. I just think it's so magical. I'm such a girl. Okay, so that is the end of this corner, and I'll come over here and kind of show you a little bit about what's on this side, and then we'll kind of finish up there. Bryce, if you can get a picture of what this bloom looks like without the coconut shavings. So this is absolutely a stunning ginger. It's a red cone ginger. Now I love these plants. Now you can see we've got some yellow from old growth here that can absolutely be cut off. That yellow happens in the winter. We are just at the tips. If we were in Palm Beach, ideal. If we were in Jupiter, fine. Stewart, we're getting kind of iffy. The cold temps, anything north of that can really harm these cone-shaped gingers. The green gingers do fine, but the ones with these red cones or pink cones, they're not a fan of those cold snaps. So you might as well just cut them all the way down to the base and let them flush back out. And they do super, super well that way. But by that point, and they're blooming again, more than likely you're gonna get other cold snaps. So you know it's a hit or miss with those guys. So I've got some giant crotons that these are excellence crotons that have just kind of I would say they've outgrown their space, but my hot tub is right there. We'll go up there in a second. So I like that little bit of coverage that they offer. But yeah, normally you keep them around 4 or 5 foot tall, not 8 foot. I've got a little dash of dwarf ixoras here, a very old Montgomery palm, and a very cool and finicky Madagascar palm. This is actually not a palm, but it is just such a cool, I love these thorns. I love the look. I love the temperament. I love the attitude. I think it's just a cool, don't mess with me. I'm going to kind of just throw limbs out my own way and you just deal with it. So I left all the limbs that it threw out and towards the house and what you could see. I did have to chop off a limb that was going this way because this isn't one of the limbs that you want to walk under with the thorns and all. It needs to behave. So, but overall, it's a cool tree. It has a fragrance. It blooms a white flower, loves the sun. It is on an incline because my yard gets good water and this likes dry conditions. So it's in the cacti family. So it's definitely something that wants to remain dry. So it is on the higher part. Right, that's why I put it right along the wall of our patio because everything slopes this way. So, Bryce, while you're there, if you wouldn't mind just getting a peek of these Imperialis bromeliads, foxtail agave. This is a blue flame agave, which I think is so cool. Now, I've seen those big. They're phenomenal. It's very cute now, but gosh, when it gets enormous, it's going to be a stunner. And then we'll work our way up to the patio. I've flanked additional 2 more Imperialis. So we've got 2 at the back by the water feature and 2 here. I love anytime you have an entranceway to really funnel your way in or out of that entranceway to kind of make it more pronounced. And I didn't want anything high or buffering in this area because obviously all my windows to the back of the house shoot this way and I wanted to be able to see the water feature. I wanted that to be the focal point. So having more dynamic structure like a vertical upright species, that's kind of what I wanted here. And I didn't want an agave because, it is a walking path and I didn't want, to be stabbed. So, but to give you guys a sneak peek behind the scenes here, this is my patio. This is what this whole buffer area kind of helps create. If this is just a freestanding patio, we're elevated up pretty high, so that means that we are in a fishbowl here. The house is all around us, especially the one behind us, is such a big visual that, yeah, you can see the screen now, but that's exactly what I mean. Like there's a house there. I mean, and obviously on either side of us. So we are kind of faking it out, fake it till you make it kind of thing. We've kind of surrounded ourselves with all these tropical foliage and all of this plants and trees to kind of give us a feel of a resort, to give us a feel like we're tucked away into a little garden. We are not, when we're back here, we're not in a subdivision, you know, unless the maintenance guy shows up next door. But we're not in a subdivision. We're kind of nestled in together, and you know, we're at a resort. So that's the goal. But just to give you an idea of what's here, my husband built this nice little overhang. We put in a lovely hot tub here with a backdrop wall, and of course a few additional palm trees. And this, oh, we also have a fireplace here. I forgot to mention that. This is our little sitting area for the 2 times a year that, you know, it gets cool enough to use it. I get it. I know we're in Florida, like we need a fireplace, but let me tell you, when it gets into the 70s, and I know you don't need a fireplace in the 70s, but when it does, and you light this, and you light some candles outside, the lanterns are going, the landscape lighting's going, there's just something really, really magical about all of that soft glow light. That, between that and hearing the water all over, I just think it's so stunning. So yeah, that's kind of, this is kind of where we exist. We do have these nice little privacy shades, which is pretty cool. I want to share those with you guys. They're going to be on my storefront. I'm getting ready to put them on there because I think that these things are so cool. I can literally I just put them in the ground, and I have 3 of them, and it closes this area off, so you have a nice bit of privacy if you want to get in the jacuzzi, which I think is pretty cool. And then, let's see, and then this is our other seating section here. So I know I pointed up to this area, but this is a spot that I tend to sit at the most. My chair is right there. I've got it always tilted looking at the waterfall, and I'm just always enjoying this little spot that's here. And we built this just kind of overhead just to give us a little protection from the heat of the day, that direct sun. We have a additional wall that we put up there. You guys may have seen that in the side yard tour. I absolutely love it. It adds a little bit of a sound barrier, and then I put in a little water feature with an elephant ear growing inside to kind of just, again, deaden some of the sound from us and the neighbors, because we both entertain in our backyards, and just kind of, you know, helps us both. So that's kind of the goal. So our buffer is pretty much a wraparound buffer that's growing, and this has grown over years. So this is definitely something that's it's a labor of love, as most of you gardeners know. So if this is something that you're kind of wanting to create for yourself, then please ask me any questions in the comments down below. I'd be happy to answer. I love talking gardening. If you haven't noticed, I could go on forever and ever. So I'll spare you with any more commentary on that. But yeah, ask me any questions in the comments. And then if you need something more, you know, if you need more than the inspiration, give us a shout. We are a landscape design and installation company. I handle all the design work. My husband and our crew, our in-house landscape crew, handles all the installation. So we work together to kind of create the full project from concept to completion. And we do front yards, backyards, side yards. We kind of do things just like this, where we just change the environment to create the garden that you're looking for. So if that's what you're looking for, please reach out to us. I'll get Bryce to put up the locations that we work in, and then I'll also link our website down below, so that way you guys can see, you know, get more information on us. So other than that, thank you so much for taking this tour with me. This was so much fun. I've been wanting to do this for you guys. I know you've been asking for it. I hope you enjoyed the updated tour, and hope I didn't go too fast through it, but I wanted to kind of get a lot into one video. So I will see you guys in the very next video. Take care.